I don't know where the video is.
I don't know, but we can see you just fine.
I don't know where you are. Oh, but I like to see myself. I'm so vain and I'm a control freak.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I hope you're able to see it.
Eventually, I'm sure.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the InfoDumpster. I am ND Bumblebee, your host, and with me I have Bree Klauser.
Hello.
Hi. So
I can hear you, but
yes.
I cannot see you.
Oh.
But that's also not out of the average for me.
Yeah, for you. It's like I was like, are you making a visual joke or like are you serious?
I am making, one would call that
like you
a double entendre.
Yeah, like you can make those jokes though. You're allowed.
Yeah, there's like, you know, I've met a lot of new people. I've just like entered being a social person again recently, and I forgot how many people I have to like explain the whole visually impaired thing. Oh, hi internet, I'm blind. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, if you look at any of my internet presence, you'll learn that I'm a blind person that looks like a sighted person and all those things.
Yeah.
But, and I do the entertainments.
Yes,
but
she does the entertainments.
But yeah, having to explain it to people is like, it seems annoying, but I'm like, no, people don't know. I haven't, always preview video, always preview video.
Yeah, because there's like a bunch of reasons why people end up blind, like whether they're born with it or is it like a progressive thing? Is it like, was it caused by something or whatever? Like, there's a lot of different things.
And it's such a spectrum. Like, I'm quote unquote legally blind, which means my visual acuity is like worse than 20 to 100. So like, it can't be corrected past a certain thing. Maybe that is why I'm not understanding this website, or maybe it's just.
Who knows? Who's to say?
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Exactly. Yeah, by the legal sense, you're blind. You pass as a sighted person sometimes until we get to find the details.
Until you get to know me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a term that we use a lot in I would say in multiple marginalized groups, the idea of passing.
Yeah.
And it's like something I have to be like careful, because you can't compare like able-bodied passing with straight passing and things like that. Like it's tricky area.
It really depends on the context, I've noticed.
Yeah I had to, like, when I started doing interviews and like talking about my shit, like I had to be very careful with when I started using that term, especially during the height of like Black Lives Matter and stuff. It's like I feel like it is oh my god, wait, I think I see you. No, I don't see you. Fuck.
Oh no. But it's like it's one that you don't want to use it lightly, if that makes sense. Oh, I think your audio cut out. No! I don't know what you did before to fix it. Oh no. We'll give Bree a moment. It's okay, tech stuff happens.
A few moments later.
Ooh, show us. Okay.
I can see my part.
As we come back, you have a plant?
Yes, every queer household has a plant and a cat. And I don't know if you could see it. Accidentally got like glitter everywhere.
I can't personally.
You see?
I don't think I can tell, but I trust you, because glitter does in fact get everywhere.
Especially in this household. So we lovingly name our home Whore Home. There is a little point on the wall that says, "This is not a whore house. This is a whore home."
Yeah.
So, and it is me, my partner, who is, I like to say, a reformed upstate hippie. Myself is a I guess on this channel I'd be an aging sapphic. Aging sapphic babe, and our roommate, who is a drag queen. So it is the hippies and queers house. So we need to have the plant. Her name is Ursula.
Excellent.
Spider plant. Oh, I like this. I think I found my framing.
Yeah.
So you get to see my air conditioning and my very like 1970s decor.
I like it.
Yeah, it's the dream in New York to have this much space.
I think
we gotta get you out here.
As far as the queer household, we have the cat.
We have the cat. We have the plant.
Yeah, you
we
have
the
the
glitter.
Cat. You have the glitter. We just have the cat.
Glitter everywhere. Yeah.
What is your cat's name?
We're going right into those special interests, aren't we?
I guess.
Yeah. So my cat's name is Uncle Iro.
Yay.
And he looks like your cat a little bit. He looks like a big boy version of your little baby ginger kitty, although it's very rare that you have a girl ginger.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah.
Bree and I saw each other like a few days back, like maybe last week, and we showed I showed her a picture of Penelope, and Bree commented that
mine if you show me yours.
Yeah, like you know. So
yeah, his name is Uncle Iro. But he's still very much in his Dragon of the West phase. He's still a wild young boy. He was feral and he's a rescue. So he goes by Iro mostly, but also by Kitty Man. Also just like, just sounds.
Yeah.
Because, cats never learn their names really. They know the bodies of flesh that gives them food and warmth.
Yes. But yeah, like it is a rarity to have a female orange cat, apparently, as much as it would be to have a male calico, I think, or a male tortie. It's one of those two, I think.
Maine Coon, too, yeah. I brought up special interest because, like, Avatar The Last Airbender, like, I feel like we were talking earlier before we started recording about like what makes the prime millennial generation. I was talking about like, when Nickelodeon was at the height, Cartoon Network was at the height, Disney Channel and all that. And I feel like the last like great thing Nickelodeon as a network before like they did all the shit online, Paramount Plus, was Avatar The Last Airbender.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, and Legend of Korra too, but like when you think of what they did to Legend of Korra, they never gave it a fucking leg to stand on because the last season, they didn't even decide to air the rest of it on Nick.
It's like, but why
you had to go online. They were just like, I knew better about, I see now I'm embarrassed that I don't know everything about it, but I just know that they didn't. But like we saw in the pandemic, this like Avatar, like this Atla resurgence, and like how that and Korra became like the most popular thing on Netflix. So it's like, and now they're like, oh yeah, there's something we couldn't. I think it has to all go down with like toys, honestly. Like
yeah, I also suspect like the whole lesbian, the bisexual angle may have had something to do with it.
No, I think by that time they're like, we know this is done. Like, fuck it, we're gonna do what they want. And I think, I don't think it's queer baiting. I think they, those creators always meant to have that. I believe it.
That's good.
Is it like level of representation as much as like Steven Universe or She-Ra, or I know there's another like kids focused animation show on Disney Plus where they're just like unabashedly, it's like girl likes a girl.
Is that Owl House?
It might be.
I know a lot of people have been talking about Owl House.
Yeah. So like, but I still, I still ship it. I mean anyone's better than Mako. Mako is Diet Zuko. But yeah, with other special interests. So I'm actually wearing my it's my Earthbender medal.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, it's with Toph win. So because I'm the greatest. My voice is so hoarse right now. I can't do any of my. I can maybe do Azula. You'll never rise from the humiliation of your ashes. You've been defeated for all time.
Yeah.
Zuzu, you don't look so good.
And actually,
it's kind of there. It's kind of there.
That was almost like I wanted to give you a second to like introduce yourself to everybody and like what do you do and like stuff like that. But you already kind of jumped the gun on that one, which is
I learned.
I love it.
For all like our Broadway learners, I went to go see Company last night. And I learned I can do a Patti LuPone impression. Like, I don't know if, Laura, have you seen the memes of, like, well, the videos. Everything's meme. Things that existed before memes are proto-memes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've seen the video of her, of course, the cell phone thing. And then recently...
I've heard of it.
Recently, during, like, a talk back, she saw someone in the audience not wearing a mask before Broadway theaters. Put your mask back on. Wear it over your nose. What are you doing? Just fucking do it.
Oh, that's true Patti LuPone fashion.
And then she's like, in the show, she's like, listen, Bobby, you don't need to get married. Don't listen to them. You don't need to get married. I've done it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So, it was fabulous. She was just so perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
that's how me and Laura met in the theater world.
Mm-hmm. It was through improv. So you're an actor. You're like theater voice actor. You're also a singer-songwriter, if I recall correctly.
I haven't done that in a hot second, but I'll always be a singer. You know.
Yeah.
Don't make me. Don't make me sing.
No, I'm not gonna make you sing. Only if you want to. But I'm not gonna make you do.
You know that SNL skit? I live for that.
Which one?
It's Kristen Wiig. It's like the 1920s cocktail party. Although everyone gets it confused with like the Liza Minnelli trying to turn on the lights. Which is what I'm. Hold on. Which is what I'm most known for, as far as my impressions go.
Yeah.
Mickey Rooney. So, yeah.
I think even with the hair, you get like a Liza Minnelli vibe.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. You remind me of my friend Liz Taylor. That's like if someone's like, what's an impression of a celebrity? That's like the first one I'll do. Although I find like, I don't know, my allergies have been like really. I think or maybe I'm just drinking too much. I don't know. But my allergies have been bad, and like I feel like and but there are certain impressions I can do really good when I'm like under the weather, like speaking of our generation of Disney Channel, sweet niblets.
Is that in
Hey, I'm Miley Cyrus, y'all, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Oh my God, Hannah Montana.
Yay.
There we go. Yeah.
Accent. Yeah. Sweet niblets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. It's like, yeah, when the cold allergy season comes, like Smiley Miley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what even got you into acting? Like, how did that happen?
I think like you might relate to. We don't choose; it chooses us. We don't choose the theater; it chooses us.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I was I grew up just adjacent to New York City, and I was really lucky that my mother and my grandmother especially exposed us to music and the arts, and I had seen my first Broadway show when I was 6 years old. I saw Les Miserables.
Nice.
You know, totally appropriate for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, all the hookers and tuberculosis, but there was a little girl on stage, and she got to sing and, you know, be in front of an audience, and I was just like, oh my God, I want to do that. And, you know, I did this podcast for this thing I'm a feature in a blog called Bold Blind Beauty this month.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, you know, did you ever think, you being visually impaired, legally blind would stop you from being an actor. And it's like, no, when I was a kid, so like my perception of my disability, like, yeah, I knew I was different from other kids, especially that I had to wear like these Stevie Wonder sunglasses to school, and it was really awful. And children are awful, and little girls are awful. Like literally at 8 years old, I have what?
They can be very awful.
Oh, I heard they can't read. I'm like,
oh no.
I mean, to an extent.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. So like, but when it came to, I mean, it was singing first. Like I was just like nonstop singing all the time. And that's, even learning how to sing was kind of like doing an impression. It was like listening to a song on the radio and copying back the notes and the rhythms and the words to the best of my ability. And I just had that natural sense. Some people are like, oh yeah, it's because of the vision thing. It's like, maybe, I don't know. My sibling, who is 6 years older than me, who is also a musician and had a career in opera, and now they're really big in the DIY scene in Philly. You know, they very similarly had like the same thing of just like picking up sounds. They started with the guitar and then they got into singing. And it just, you know, I couldn't play sports. I couldn't, it seemed like something that I can find an identity in. And I think also like when it came to on like a neurodivergent kind of path thing, like, and I'm a late in life diagnosed neurodivergent. I was only told I had ADHD in my mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I had this one disability that people would assume everything of that. The fact that I had a stim as a child, I would shake my head like, and people were like, "Oh, like Stevie Wonder." It's like, or maybe not.
Yeah.
And just like I would get the extra time on tests that people get in like their IEPs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I did it for my vision, but like I never really, since they gave me like the blown up text and everything, I never needed it for my vision. I usually needed it because like I would just go like wander off and think about something. And I remember like even in high school, like needing to like gear essays and stuff to my special interests, and at the time it was like everything was about musical theater. So I wrote an essay about Fiddler on the Roof because they were talking about something about Russia. It was like Russia or something. So I wrote about pogroms in Russia. I think another one I wrote about Parade the musical because that's the Reconstructionist South, and it talks about the carpetbaggers of North. So like I would. Yeah, this is where I would use my extra time for my vision. It's like, and I think that's the only reason why I was like, you know, did well and was like, I'd be considered what they call like twice exceptional. But it was more like when I had to do the adult stuff that was hard.
Yeah, and that seems to be like a common thing with, especially women or like femme presenting people, like especially with something like ADHD. Like that's one of the reasons why they get diagnosed so late, is because they tend to fly under the radar because of how it presents itself.
And also the way it presents myself. And like when I first got diagnosed, this person, I think they meant well, but they're like, well, you definitely have ADHD. You have a lot more of the masculine traits. And I'm like, what? No shit. Because it's like, because at that point, I already identified as queer. I was bisexual, but like I didn't really explore the gender identity came like as it's actually through understanding. My sibling is trans, and understanding what it is to them, and you know how you can be non-binary and trans, how you can be, you know, non-binary and non-trans. But it's like I feel like especially as I age as a quote-unquote female. And I identify as female, but like as I age in America or in Western society, it's like there's this thing looming over my head of like, I feel like the people who identify as women, like their society limits their potential of what they could be and like file off into like the older they get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you become, it's like, are you gonna be a boss bitch, or are you gonna pop out all the babies? Were you gonna be a leader or a leader?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and it's just like, well, like I feel like, especially in capitalism, men or masculinely identifying people, their value increases with age. Like think about all the number of Hollywood stars who are like 60 and they're like 60th man alive, while like the women have to be like, oh, except for Tom Cruise, but I think he looks fucking scary right now.
Yeah.
Like I would take a gracefully aging George Clooney or Liam Neeson over like Tom Cruise. Looks like he sold his soul to the devil.
For all we know, he did.
He did. He sacrificed Katie Holmes, and then she lost hers too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, it's like women not being allowed to age gracefully in Hollywood or like in the acting world. It's just like,
So for me, like gender identity is like, well, you know what? Like, yes, I'm socially raised as a woman, but I don't have to choose to identify as that. I can, and I feel like, I don't know, it makes me feel better about like all like the body dysmorphia and the concern that like as a low vision person, I'm not seeing myself as the way maybe other people see me. It just kind of takes the pressure off of that, because like, I mean, being in the entertainment industry, there's enough pressure with that. So
yeah.
Like to be like, oh, I have to be a adult woman, and it's like, no. But like, I'm okay with girl. I'm okay with lady. Kind of? I'm okay with I'm okay with pixie fairy child. I guess you would call it demigirl. Like that's where I would fall. But like, I don't know. I feel like everything else, you wake up in a different place on your spectrum. Except blindness, that's pretty fixed.
Yeah, blindness is kind of fixed unless it's like a progressive thing, and then it just goes in like one direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know some people with blindness, it's like a progressive thing, but then in your case, obviously it doesn't sound like it was a progressive thing. It was just something you were born with. Is that correct?
Yeah. And honestly, hasn't gotten worse with age, like a little bit, but I think like that's aging.
Yeah.
Like I know my like astigmatism is a little worse, but I think, and I bet you by the time I'm in my like 60s or 70s, if I make it there, I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna be that lady who's like whapping people with a cane or whatever, and it's like, I have to go certain places. I live in New York, and I'm so lucky to have so much independence as someone who can't drive. But like when I go to LA, if I have to go by myself, you bet I'm going to be the resident blind lady.
Yeah.
But I took out my cane to go to the theater the other day, and I love the fucking power that comes with the cane. Like I literally don't have to pay attention to anything, and I just go that, and I literally saw someone leap out of the way, and I turned to Dan and I'm like, you see that? Yes, you see that?
That's the power.
But it's like if I were to say without the cane, if I went somewhere, which I usually don't go out with my cane, it's an identifier cane I use. I say, oh, could you tell me what's on the menu, or could you have a paper menu? I'm visually impaired, I can't see. They're just like, oh no, sorry. Like, it's just like,
what do you mean?
They just think I'm being difficult and being like, oh, I can't see it. And it's like, no, I really can't see it.
You're being dead serious when you say that.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's for you. So this is only because I know you already. And, like, it's not just vision. It's also color perception, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's all part of vision. So
yeah,
the condition I have, which I probably should have introduced, like, look at how linear my... it's called a chromatopsia. I was totally not going to talk about blindness, but here we are, and that is totally cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's interesting to someone out there. So
yeah, exactly.
Here you go. So it is a rare genetic condition, meaning I'm missing 2 out of the 3 cone cells you're supposed to have in your retina. So when people, and this actually happened to a new friend of mine, he asked the question like, oh, have you ever considered LASIK surgery? And I found myself immediately getting defensive and being like, oh no, I never thought of that. Really? But he's like, no, But he's like, no, I generally mean, like, have you considered it, or is it something that's not an option? I'm like, yes, it's not an option because it's within the retina, not in the lens. And so the only kind of therapies they have are like stem cells. And of course, the only trials have been done on white men. So, yeah, you get back to me when you diversify your test subjects. I'm not going to be your guinea pig. Because, like, you know, I'm kind of the motto, it's like, use it or lose it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to, like, I don't want to see a certain, like, I am not so desperate to see a rainbow so desperately that, isn't it funny that I'm a queer person that can't see rainbows?
It's like, wow, the irony.
Yeah.
But, you know, you obviously, like, you take it in stride and, like, you...
I should have my own flag, the monochromatic rainbow.
Oh my god, that would be funny. It's like, that's the one for the blind queer community.
Or, like, so niche, just, like, I actually know a couple. I could, like, name a couple of people I've met. There's another actress who's actually really, actor. They are non-binary. Their name is Skylar Davenport. We were with the same management for a while. Never actually met them, but I hope to. But I know they, they are a non-binary person who became visually impaired. I don't know if they're legally blind, but they're definitely visually impaired from, like, a traumatic accident. And they do a lot of dubbing in, like, the anime world.
Damn.
So... Yeah. And I have another who's a blind queer graphic designer, so we're there. We can make this flag.
Yeah, like it's not like
all of us are colorblind. Yeah, but
it's like it's not gonna stop you from doing anything if you really want. It's like that's the case with like not to. It's like when you get the inspiration porn, and it's like, look, disability comes in a lot of different forms, and ultimately, we all can find our place in the world of doing what we want to do. Like, it's possible, and you know, it's not like because we had to overcome something and
to overcome something. Everyone does.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there is, and if they are, then somebody, if there's a person out there who has never experienced any kind of tragedy in their life, I don't know.
You're lucky.
Fuck you. I don't know. But I do think that, like, most people, even if they are, you know, a cisgender white male, whatever, like, all have all the privileges, that doesn't mean that no one has ever had to overcome anything.
Exactly.
Like, think of like every Disney princess.
Mm-hmm.
They all had their moms die.
Well, even not just Disney princesses, like many Disney characters, like protagonists.
Every Disney protagonist had to overcome childhood trauma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually a death in the family, and it usually is their mother.
Yeah, so, like, trauma, go. That's why their story is interesting. That's why we watch it. Why did I don't want to just look at me. Hold on.
Yeah.
Are people talking to us? Because I can't see the chat.
There was someone who totally asked if we were single, and I was like, I'm going to purposefully ignore that question. Which
well,
also...
I find that post-pandemic, it doesn't even fucking matter. Like, I go out to the bars and I'll tell people, like, I'm married. Like, I'll, like, totally, or I'll be like, or like, oh no, I'm gay as fuck, or whatever. I'll say something to just turn them, and they don't care. They don't care. People are so thirsty right now.
Apparently.
And us in our lofty, you've been in like a 8, 9, 10 year relationship too, right?
Like 7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about like 8.5. We're like everyone must hate us. We're like the rarities of the world now.
I know. It's like, wow.
Look at these. You're queer identifying, right? I forget if you're. Yeah. Are you bi or pan?
Pan-romantic, asexual, or like gray ace.
Gray ace. What does gray ace mean?
It's basically you're somewhere on the asexual spectrum. Like, not it's between demi and like straight up asexual, but even then it has its own.
So demi is someone with less of a sex drive than a gray ace.
Well, with demisexual, it's you don't develop a sexual attraction to the person unless you really like get to know them personally. That's at least my understanding of it. Like,
so you're just
like
not
when you create a bond with somebody, then like the sexuality like really starts to kick in. Versus when you're ace or even gray ace, it can depend on if you're sex repulsed or sex avoidant or some combination of the two. But your sex drive is typically lower, or it's not as important to you as an average person. And then demi-girl is like in gender, you know?
Yes, I understand. So that's why I was understanding demisexual, because like, yeah, I'm demi-girl, but demisexual, I was wondering, like, is that someone who has more of a sex drive than someone who is on the asexual spectrum?
I mean, demisexual even is on the asexual spectrum. It's just in the... Because not all asexual people, like, don't have sex. Some people, some asexual people like having sex and are totally cool with it, but they may not have as strong sexual attraction to people as non-ace people. If that makes sense.
It is. And it's one of the, I would say, under the LGBTQAI plus umbrella, it's the thing that I'm the least familiar with, because I've always been a whore. I don't know. No. I definitely agree, and the people who I've always been most attracted to are like people I get to know and I develop an intimate bond, and I'm like, oh my god, this person. Even because I've never been attracted to conventionally attractive people, but I also don't consider myself a conventional attractive people. Actually, when people are too attractive, it turns me off.
Because you
like
feel...
I worked on set with Jason Momoa.
You did. That is true.
Is he an objectively attractive man? Yes. But
just not your type.
Pass or smash, pass.
Yeah, exactly. And
because he is who he is, and I got to see what his ego was like after Aquaman.
Ah. Okay.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy, and I genuinely, like, now that I know who he is, I've got to meet him, I like to see, it was exciting to see him in Dune. I thought he was really well cast in that, but he's, like, one of those actors who just, who has such charisma, and he brings that into all roles. So, like, when he was cast as Duncan Idaho, it's not that, I feel like Jason Momoa himself is a Duncan Idaho type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what was that like, because that was for C, correct?
Yeah, which right now is in its last season on Apple TV Plus. So it's a trip.
Yeah,
it's a good show. I'm in the first couple episodes. I do my own stunts.
Yeah.
I was one of 2 authentically visually impaired actors in a show where it was about like everyone in the future becomes blind.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler. That's like the premise that they say in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's like everyone's blind, and
these kids.
But your character was also an empath, right?
Yeah.
Like not just I'm an empath, but like actual empath.
Yeah, she was like they called her a presage. And I remember auditioning for it and reading it. I'm like, oh, she's Deanna Troi. So I did my best Marina Sirtis impression, basically. Like, you know how she does that, Marina Sirtis is British, but for the first couple of seasons of Star Trek, she doesn't speak in an American accent, but she doesn't speak in a British accent. So it's kind of like this in-between kind of future speak.
Yeah.
But it could still be standard American.
like the computer program that would announce
No, she would. No, Troy. So Troy was a android. So she was very ruled by emotion. She was very affected because she was an empath.
Yes.
But it's in a way. I don't know. I haven't done it in a while. So.
Yeah.
And but basically like I love sci-fi and fantasy and animation, and like animation is like this too, where you pick like an archetype and you bring part yourself and part whatever that inspiration is, and helps you create something that maybe is, you know, a little more heightened, opposed to like, I don't know, I'm the hipster barista at the, I did a really cool audition for something, and I don't know if it's gonna work out, but it was really fun. And I was working with this coach, and I was like, you know who this character is part? Alan Rickman as Snape.
Hell yeah.
And so as me and my own, and this wasn't voice acting, it was on camera, like, but as me, I just thought about how to bring that kind of cadence and intensity into what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then like bringing myself as well. So it kind of, if I can still talk like myself, but with a bit more stillness and intensity, and like, I don't know, I think it's fun. I think we have fun. And stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
we get to do that at the Ren Fair too. Yeah.
At the Sterling Ren Fair, right?
No, you get to do that. I mean, you've worked up a tuxedo, and like you've created characters and.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's very. Unless you're playing a historical character in Ren Fair, you do typically get quite a bit of creative freedom. That's not just in tuxedo. I mean, like in other Ren Fairs I've been to, I've noticed that, like, unless you're playing a historical character, you have so much creative freedom to make this character whatever you want, unless it's like, oh, you are the king, or you're the duchess, or you're the duke, or if they give you like a role.
Oh God, if I was like cast as a historical character in Ren Fair, I'd be like, oh, this is gonna be so much work. Opposed to like when I did Ren Fair and Sterling Ren Fair in 2016, they're like, you're lower class, so you do Cockney accent, and you are a street urchin. So it's like, great, I'm gonna be an anime character basically. And you're like, hey, it's Smitty here. Oh, hey, do we have I'm going to like, and just as long as I, continue to speak in the dialect or whatever, and not mention anything about 21st century technology.
Yeah. And like, again, and also depending on certain groups, because like if you're given information about a character, you can definitely work around that. And then even if you are given a historical character, you can have some creative freedom of how you interpret it. Because I know when I worked at New York Ren Fair, we had at least 2 or 3 different interpretations of Sir William Cecil, who was an actual person in Queen Elizabeth's court. And they've cycled through at least a few different rendition, like actresses who played Queen Elizabeth. Tell me about Sir William Cecil. What did he do? Why do we remember him? I believe he was a secretary in her court.
So
he was like a record keeper of sorts.
Was he one of the? Because we all know that Lizzie was a les. We all know that. So was she like? Was he like his Jack to her Karen? I don't know. I feel like she had to have a few gay men in her court, you know.
Oh, she probably did. It wouldn't be surprising if she did.
We have to be each other's beards, you know.
Yeah. I'm not as knowledgeable about Elizabethan history. I remember some of the characters' names, I remember some of their roles, but I don't remember exactly all of the details. They're kind of fuzzy to me.
Especially like Ren Fair, like depending on what Ren Fair, like some Ren Fairs are like, no inactualisms, none of it. It's like, it's fucking furry day.
Yeah, right? Like the fair we had
a derpy show up.
Yeah. You had a derpy?
Yeah, and I, as a Elizabethan street urchin, had to I have derpy! Who's my bestest friend?
You definitely toe that line in fantasy, you know? It's fantasy. So
fantasy.
As far as because you mentioned with special interests, like Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of them. It definitely is for me too, in a sense, because I absolutely love that show.
Yeah, and I really feel like it is one of those properties, one of those IPs that, like, you can't be ambivalent. You gotta have a strong opinion about it either way. And people who are like, oh, it's okay, I'm like, you didn't actually watch it.
Yeah,
it's bullshit. You didn't watch it.
I think you
didn't watch it.
Something. Oh.
You didn't. You need to sit down and watch it again.
You might find this interesting, but I learned something from my partner yesterday or today. I can't remember which. But
what is that?
Yeah, exactly. In the live action series that they're making, they cast so they have the cabbage seller. They cast the guy who was the voice of the cabbage seller as the cabbage man. I was like, that is fantastic. I love the cabbage man. He's like one of the best recurring characters, apart from Foamy Mouth Guy.
Yo, those do be proto memes. Because they were and Avatar was full of the memes before the thing.
Very much.
Like, and the Ember Island Players episode, which you can fight me in the ring. It's the best episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not knocking the finale. Could the finale? I don't know. I don't think you could make it better.
It would be really hard.
Just, the only thing that is missing is, I would have loved to see the journey of finding Zuko's mother. I would have loved to see that animated, but I read the Dark Horse comics, and I really like them. I would just love to see that continued.
Mm-hmm.
But I respect that they wanted to leave something to the imagination.
Yeah.
But I think the most satisfying part of the finale is the whole Agni Kai thing. It's so fucking beautiful.
Such a good scene.
The music, I don't even see color, but like I experience color in like shades and in tones and stuff. So like when you talk about how he has Zula has the blue fire and Zuko has the which like a yellowish and just like everything just burning, and then when Katara like chains her down and she starts like screaming and like spewing flames like from the mouth, like it's just, oh my god. I think one of my like one of the most like beautiful like dramatic scenes like in television, not just in like animation, like television.
It was amazing like how quickly they went through, because Azula was having a little bit of an arc throughout the series, like from when she joined in, but then in like the last season they just kind of went whoop whoop, and like they just escalated it real fucking quick, and they did it very beautifully. Like, it didn't
feel rushed. It didn't suffer the Korra thing of everything being rushed and everything. It's a good paced show. I mean, because like even as kids we enjoyed it, like, and it kept our attention. But it's like a good paced show. Mm-hmm. Like and I definitely have like, as someone who likes sci-fi and fantasy, I have a hard time with things that are paced in a way where there's not enough dialogue, because it's just hard for me to keep up. Like I have a really, really hard time watching what was the news? Not the Halo series. What was it? Arcane.
Okay.
Because it's not very dialogue heavy.
Yeah. Although they did have an Appa episode, right?
So, yeah. And I didn't really appreciate it until I was an adult.
Yeah. Now, Great Divide was a waste. Even the creators make fun of that. They're like, in the Ember Island they're like, we'll skip that. So here's my question to you as a fan of The Last Airbender series. First of all, Did you watch the Shyamalan movie?
I drink to forget the Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, okay, good. I suspected that might have been.
I want that on a t-shirt.
You what?
Like, I drink to forget, the Shyamalan live action Atlas.
Oh my God.
I don't know, something, like, I don't know. There should be, like, a merch line, like, I drink to forget, ... and then an insert.
Oh my God. For anyone who hasn't seen that film, it might be better that way. I personally recommend, I mean, I don't know if the Nostalgia Critic is still, like, relevant, but even watching his review of that sums it up very well.
Who?
The Nostalgia Critic. He basically is a movie reviewer, but he did one about the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, and he summed it up pretty well.
So one of my favorite YouTubers who covers Avatar universe stuff is Hello Future Me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does a lot of, I mean, like, he has this whole book on writing and world. I think his name is Tim Hickson or something, but he did like a 2-hour video finally, like, being like, okay, I'll finally talk about it. Why it's so horrible. Like,
it's like
really goes into like everything wrong.
Yeah, there's a lot to. The one thing I will give, like, that they did kind of okay is that the kid who played they did find a kid who was a very skilled martial artist. I can respect that.
But they didn't even utilize that. He just stands around.
I know, it's like, but it's also, like, I know child actors sometimes suck, but I know now, like, lately it's been proven that you can find good child actors who can be directed very well. Like, think of all the kids in Stranger Things. They were actually really good.
It's so funny. So, when I worked with Alfre Woodard, she says she doesn't believe in child actors. Mm-hmm. And I get it to a point, because I feel like in order to really act, you need to have some kind of life experience to draw upon. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least in, like, the way I've seen her act, and her, like, I sat next to this woman in a makeup trailer and watching her, like, go through her lines, whatever. It's like a masterclass. Mm-hmm. But I think it is, like, the idea of being a child actor, an effective child actor, is someone who is, you know, directable and I guess imaginative, like, has enough of an imagination but also can follow directions, and I guess is cute to look at. I don't, although, like, I love that the kids in Stranger Things are, like, so varied and whatever. They're not just like, oh, Disney kids.
Yeah. It's like, oh, not just that. It's like, oh, like, actually effective and whatever. Like, and I have met, like, I think I've only worked with, like, 2 child actors, in some fashion. I wasn't acting with them, but I did work on the set with them, and they were, like, 10 and 11, I think. They were very good, and they were very nice kids. But, you know, they seemed to, like, love what they were doing and stuff. It was, like, cool. They were adorable.
I wanted to be a child actor so badly. Like, when I was like, because when I got bit by that theater bug, I'm like, I want to be on Broadway. I was, like, auditioning for things, and I was just, like, one of those kids who would just, like, be, and I had a manager even when I was 13, but by then I was already, like, starting puberty and basically the same height as I am right now, and just, like, awkward. And also, like, it didn't help that I was trying to pretend not to be disabled. But I did that for most of my career.
Like, pretend not to be disabled?
And when I worked at the Ren Fair, I was just like, once I booked, I said, so I don't have great eyesight. You can't dunk me in a pond because I wear $200 contact lenses. So I have poor I played it down. I never said the word legally blind, because people hear that. They hear legal and they hear lawsuit.
They think, like, ADA and all that.
They think liability.
Yes.
And I think people, even with like diversity initiatives, I still think people think that. Like I had before I started working with the voiceover agent that I'm working with Stewart Talent in New York, but I took one of these like actor pay to play thing. You get, you read commercial copy in front of them, you talk to them, and I told them about like, the series that I did with Audible. Like I was the lead in a series with Christian Slater and Carrie Coon, and they heard me read, and they said they liked it, and then and they started talking to me, and they started mention that I'm with KMR's like diversity department because I'm identified as a person with disability. I'm legally blind, and their next question was just like, so can you go out of your house and like get groceries for yourself? And I had to like laugh and be like,
that's a little bit of a weird question.
Yeah, and of course this didn't happen in front of class. This happened like in a one-on-one Zoom with me and this agent, very high power. I don't fucking care. No one's fucking Abrams.
Oh boy.
I'll say it. Today, I can't remember. David Elliott, I think his name is.
It's just like, that's a little, I think I could.
I added you. Add it. I don't fucking care.
Oh, no.
I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Call him out on Maine.
This is just another one of these like old guard, like show business people who feel like if it's not able-bodied white people running the thing, it's a vibe. And of course, it wasn't done it was an educational environment, but it was done behind closed doors, so there was no accountability.
Of course. Have you ever done? You've done theater before, but like even outside of. No, I mean like what I mean is like when you had worked with the Epic Players Theater, like that is theater that is specifically with the disabled community, correct?
Yeah, and I actually, I only show I did with Epic, because I was a teaching artist more with them, was their inaugural production of Dog Sees God. A theater company I've probably done the most work with in New York, also, has a mission statement around people with disabilities, is theater breaking through barriers. And I'm actually going to stand with them. I'm going to be doing 2 productions of, one is Brecht on Brecht, and the other one is part of a monologue play series written by the playwright Tatiana Rivera called The Difference in Beauty.
Okay.
And it's going to be exciting because it's going to be a bilingual piece where our stories are going to be interspersed with Japanese speaking actors.
Okay. And like companies like that, I guess what I would ask is, as somebody who is disabled and neurodivergent, what's the sense
I need a few more, and mentally ill and queer. I need a few more punches on my card before I get at free. The ice cream cone.
The intersectionality.
My intersectionality Russian Olympics card. Yeah.
What is the?
Oh, I'm Jewish too.
There you go. See.
They tried to kill us. Let's eat.
Oh no.
Yes.
What is the difference on like how you feel you can present yourself in a theater company that is catered to the disabled community versus just an average like theatrical experience that may not specifically aim to include disabled people, but like would anyway, whatever's.
So are we talking, it varies, so are we just talking about theater, or are we talking about entertainment and broader, film and television?
I guess any entertainment that, like, if it's specific.
I do feel like it is. So when I'm being sought after in film and television for a quote-unquote blind role or a filling that box of person with disability, I feel like it's my job to just present as myself and what I would do as an actor and an option. When I am going up, I would say going up against, and I mean either way I'd be going up against sighted actors for blind roles. It fucking happens. Let's be honest. We talk about Umbrella. have you watched season 3 of Umbrella Academy?
No, I haven't.
So, story time, Discord. So in the new, have you watched any of Umbrella? Are you like?
I haven't, but I wouldn't be surprised if anyone watching this did.
All right, so like season 3, like at the end of season 2, spoiler alert. They do like a new timeline, and there's like a whole new set of they're called the Sparrow Academy, but they're a different batch of Hargrave's superheroes. And in this alternate universe, like Ben is still alive, and he's part of the new Hargraves, the Sparrows. And one of them, and they were written this way in the comic, is blind, or like she has no eyes. And so I read for this character during the pandemic, and I really loved it. And I wasn't the only visually impaired or blind person who read for it. And I think I heard about from my friend Marilee Talkington, who runs a academy for an Umbrella Academy. No, runs an acting school to help out blind and visually impaired people who want to be in entertainment. She like put me and like 7 other people up for consideration to casting, and they decided to go with an able-bodied actress who she's like somewhat well known, but like I think the big thing was like she is a Toronto local, and this was shooting in the middle of the pandemic. And I know from my friends who were shooting on sea, like they would have to quarantine for 2 weeks before they could do anything or go anywhere. So it was like one of those cases of everyone's trying to save a fucking buck. And so now, and like I remember the press release coming out and them being like, they're not changing anything about this character. Like, oh, Faye Hargraves sees in a special way. It's like, no shit. And like I knew about this for like a year and a half, and I would like hint at like, oh, I auditioned for this Netflix show, this blah 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 blah. And now I can say, yeah, fucking Umbrella Academy. What are you doing? Especially since like they're doing such a great job with representation with Elliot Page, who, oh my god, what a fucking snack.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he was a snack before, but also he's still a fucking snack.
Always. Also, like when he found out when he came out as trans, because when I don't mean to dead name him, but like Ellen Page, when people would ask like, oh, what actors do you like or whatever, and I used to say when I was younger, I'm like, oh, I'm like an Ellen Page type.
I did too.
And then it's like, oh, well, maybe I'm not all woman.
I mean, I still say that I still compare the roles or my casting to Elliot Page. It's not far off.
Yeah. Exactly, but and they're doing such a great job with that. But like the fact that there's not even a conversation going on about this erasure. Honestly, it's erasure. That's what it is when you do crit base. It's like, cause and I put a little thing on TikTok about it, and people are like, oh, but they're an actor. That's what they do. It's like, yeah, but you don't see me playing like black roles. It's like it's same shit. I know it's controversial, but it's same shit, honestly.
People say
it's like Judy Garland in blackface. Go watch fucking Star is Born. I just watched it on TV, and they tried to remove the blackface. It's so scary.
It's like how
and that they still play it on TV.
It's also like the same argument with like wheelchair users, autistic actors, and it's like, it's not like disabled actors and don't exist. We have always existed, and I'm sure like there's plenty of actors out there who are blind, visually impaired, deaf, wheelchair users. Like, it's not like we're not there, and it's not like they haven't auditioned. We haven't. So the thing I learned about working on sea, and like
did I think it would be possible to make a whole series where everyone was blind? Probably. There probably aren't that many, and there aren't that many A-list or B-list blind and visually impaired actors. The closest that they got is so Jessica Harper, who was in the movie Suspiria. And she, as she's gotten older, she started losing her sight. And so they brought her on at the end of season 1. I think she was also in part of season 2 of C. And so technically, even though she wasn't blind, she is visually impaired. And she was probably the closest thing to a name actor that they could get. But like, I understand as a business, like,
you want an A-list person included.
You want a name. You need a name. You need the Jason Momoa. You need Alfred. You need all these people to carry. What's his name? Batista. What's his name?
Yeah. You need that to get the attention. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I feel like even if that A-lister was not in a major role, like, say, if in Jason Momoa's case, if he was in the series anyway, but not as, like, the main character, and the main character was played by a visually impaired actor.
It's a lot of, that's the thing is, at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah.
And it's like, who is going to carry your ship? The number one on that call sheet is like kind of like, in a way, it has almost as much power as a director as far as how it's going to succeed or not. So there's a lot of responsibility. And I think because of the infantilization of people with disabilities, as a larger community in the entertainment business, we haven't proven that we can handle that, although we can.
It's possible.
But there are people who are also able-bodied who might be great actors, but might crack under the pressure if they were... I mean, I imagine if that ever comes to... Shit, my first project, there was like over 200 people on set. And I only had a few lines, but I was there for a while, and I had to remind myself every day, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's like, but it's easy to feel that and feel like there's pressure. So imagine if you're I was like number 14 on the call. No, number 21. That was my number. Number 21 on the call sheet. So that's like, I'm recurring, but I'm not series regular.
Yeah, like you're in the support. You're part of the supporting cast.
Supporting cast. So imagine if I was near the top of that call sheet and this was my first job.
Wow.
And that might be the case. I know that's the case with my friend Joe Strecce, who works on C. He is now not just a blindness consultant. Now he is an executive producer on C, and as well as a new movie called All the Light They Cannot... No, it's a limited series. I think it's for like HBO or something. All the Light They Cannot See. And it's based off a novel. And they did end up casting like an unknown actress because they really did want to find a legally blind actress. I went for the role, and I think it was kind of, even though like I thought I did an audition, I think it actually kind of hurt that he knew me, because it's like, it's be a 14-year-old French girl and he's been out to like bars with me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, but they found someone, and this is going to be their first time acting, and they're going to be, carry this film. And that's a lot of, imagine having that pressure already as an actor, now having that same pressure as a marginalized person representing community.
Yeah. I mean, I just wish it was something that was more common, like more commonplace. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like,
but it will be the more. Just think about.
Like, you got to start somewhere.
Think about the trajectory for Black actors, and how even like Viola Davis hasn't she never like actually won an Academy Award or something like that?
I don't know.
Or did she just win? I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where like there are people who are like so legendary or whatever, but because they're a marginalized group, they're like they're like in certain things like kind of behind their contemporaries.
Yeah.
Like how many awards Viola Davis and Meryl Streep probably hold them in the same esteem, but Meryl Streep has probably gotten a lot more critical acclaim, like by the Academy and the industry and all that. Like,
I would also think of like Octavia Spencer or something like that.
Yeah. So it's like,
I mean, Coda winning in the Academy, I hope that's a really good first step, because that is like a very
Marley Matlin was the first. She was the first to break all those barriers. But I have to say, and this is a hot take.
Yeah.
There's some, I don't know. I never really fully understood the separation between the deaf community and the disabled community.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Like, people who are deaf don't necessarily consider themselves like disabled with a capital D.
I'm not very knowledgeable
so I never understood
on
why
that,
I never understood why that movement is separate.
I don't know.
It's like if the blind community were like, oh well, we're not, you know. I'm gonna do.
I don't have enough information on that to give an informed opinion on it. It's like I would ask a deaf person about that, honestly.
Is anyone hard of hearing? Please elucidate us.
Yeah, like deaf or hard of hearing.
Yeah, if you identify in that way at all. Hold on, I'm gonna do a quick intermission.
Yeah, sure. Was there other topics that you wanted to info dump about?
I know. I was gonna say, like, this is more like a runaway dumpster fire rather than info.
That's fair. I mean,
like a runaway dumpster, like a dumpster of non sequiturs.
I mean, look, if that's where this goes, that's fine. I actually fully expected that it would happen at least a couple of times.
Have you had a lot of these? Like, a lot of them, have they stayed on topic, or have they become like these
I've tried
amorphous life of their own kind of thing?
I've tried to like find a way to at the bare minimum treat it like a conversation.
I like that better.
Yeah, but like, sometimes it's
but
like,
I respect that some people just need to itch that urge, you know?
Yeah, or sometimes like if I notice that there's honestly, like how it went, it kind of depends on the person, but I like it. Like, I don't mind that at all, because it's like, hey, everyone's different, and sometimes it's like someone's just gonna word vomit information, and then sometimes it's just like, you know, just having a conversation about stuff. I think all of the guests.
I hope it's mildly entertaining.
I hope so too. All of the guests so far have been neurodivergent in some sense, which is sort of the point.
Yeah, and I think, like, I know there's overlaps between ASD and ADHD, but like I think a lot of, at least this is what TikTok says, because, you know, TikTok is a psychologist. Basically, like, a difference is like people with ADHD tend to have rotating, like, hyper fixation, hyper interest, like, things, while like folks on the autism spectrum have kind of fixed interests. My best friend Melissa, she loves Wonder Woman, she loves DC, she loves Freddie Mercury, and like these have been like her things since I like met her 5 years ago. While me, I'm like, you know, I might be in like big weeaboo phase. I might be like really into cosplay. A few months ago, I was really and I'm so excited. They're like, a lot of it has to do with animation, though. Honestly, a lot of my things are around animation, but sometimes they're around like theater and musical theater. For a while, I got really into some like kind of toxic YouTubers.
Oh no!
And I just used to watch them for cringe. Just like this kind of voyeuristic cringe. I got for a while. My interest was watching like fucking cringe compilations. I remember like in 2015, or like, I don't know. We got really into burlesque at one point. I was really into that. Cosplaying. Steven Universe, like different shows will make special interest. Oh, the show that was like my special interest for a little while was the Vizzy Pop series Hell of a Boss.
Oh, I've heard
watched
of that one,
it?
yeah. I haven't watched it, but I've heard about it.
Oh my god! Anyone who is a fan of animation, adult animation, comedy, improv, musical theater, like, is so good. And it's like one of those things where you get to see from, because it's like independently produced, you get to see, like, as the series progresses, like, it gets better and better, and like the animation and the writing, and it's just like fucking Richard Horowitz is on there.
Oh my god.
Invader Zim.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so like it's got like this amazing, like these amazing backers already, and a lot of it recorded over the pandemic. So you have Broadway actors like fucking what's his name? I'm not the best with Broadway. I used to be like when I was in musical theater. I'm not gonna say that word on this here. A blank hag in high school.
Oh yeah.
I might be entering my blank hag phase again, if you haven't noticed lately. But yeah, I listen to musical soundtracks again. Like, fuck me.
Show tunes.
Listen to show tunes. Yeah, and then like a new special. I've been watching these videos about musical theater history. I kind of was like inspired by the whole like Funny Girl debacle and everything going on with that.
Oh, I don't know about that debacle.
Yeah. Oh, well, like, they basically just fired Beanie because they didn't like the reviews. They replaced it with problematic Lea Michele, who is one of the most, like, difficult people to work with, like, in Hollywood and Broadway and everything. They should have done Rachel Bloom.
That's
they should have done Rachel Bloom's girlfriend. But a lot of people are like, oh my god, Lea Michele, well, she's so much better or whatever. But it's like, yeah, but even if you didn't like Beanie in the role, you gotta say that they done her dirty. And two, there are many other, why not have the understudy continue the role?
Yeah, that's what
people loved her.
That is for.
Yeah, like they had to get a star or whatever, but like, and there's even better stars they could have gotten that are not like batshit insane. But anyway, The Hell of a Boss had a lot, because a lot of it they recorded during the pandemic. There were a lot of out of work Broadway actors who just wanted to like create something. So what's his name from Beetlejuice? Alex fucking Beetlejuice.
I don't know who it is, but I think I know who you're talking about.
We have the internet, but I'm afraid if I use the Google machine, my camera's gonna get shitty.
That's valid. Yeah, but anyway, we can look him up.
Anyway, like a lot of Broadway like credit people are like on this show, so that's like fun to see. Someone who was like the voice of maybe not Oogie Boogie in Nightmare Before Christmas, but like one of the incarnations of it. And I just love like going on IMDb and like looking up stuff like that. And it actually just makes me really excited when like theater actors and like well-known actors are in animated properties. Like when I went to Company last night, I'm looking at Patti LuPone's giant discography, and in the middle of her TV credits, it's Steven Universe. And I'm like,
really? She was
Diamond. Yes. She's Yellow Diamond.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Oh, that's another one where there's a bunch of because Rebecca Sugar loves musical theater. She's also, oh my god, how have I not talked about Sailor Moon this entire time? That was what I was like thinking. I'm like thinking about like dumping about, because I was hanging out with a friend at the beach and I was trying to explain Sailor Moon, because they're like, well, what are they called, Sailor Moons? And I was like, well, in the manga they were called Sailor Senshi, and in the American dub they're called Sailor Scouts. Now they call them Sailor Soldiers. They don't call them soldiers anymore. They call them Sailor Guardians. And like explaining that and explaining like who is your favorite, Sailor Moon character, Sailor Guardian. and like explaining like for. Well, let me ask you, who's your favorite Sailor Guardian? Or Sailor Shen? What do you prefer?
I've actually never seen Sailor Moon, but I want to change that. I want to change that.
Have you? Wait, you've never seen?
I've never seen any of it, but I know it exists.
Not even the Deke dub. Did you not? I didn't mean that. Did you not have like cable or something growing up?
It just never caught my attention. I think I knew it was a thing, but I just never like watched it.
Did you watch Pokemon?
Yes.
Did you watch Toonami? Did you watch Dragon Ball?
A little bit, yes, when I was in middle school. I think I really saw like the Cell saga. The Cell and Android saga.
I like would watch Dragon Ball, but as a kid who was socialized as like hyper feminine, I'd be like, it's a boy show, but I watch it. But I love the Team 4-Star dub. I think it's so much better than the
Team 4-Star dub is so much better.
And I wish they continued to Majin Buu. I would have. And now the end is near.
Oh my god. The Team 4-Star dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is also fantastic if you haven't seen that yet.
I need to watch that.
It's fantastic.
So I worked with Darren Dunstan. He does all of the casting for that, but I think he's like the original voice of Pegasus.
Oh, dude.
So like, and I've definitely auditioned for my share of Yu-Gi-Oh! Properties. It's really fun.
Nice.
Yeah, but we were talking about Sailor Moon. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Never seen it.
And I've known you for like almost 10 years, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I'm aware that it exists.
No, I think my first hyperfixation was Sailor Moon. Like, it's like, it was a sign that I was both gay and neurodivergent.
I think Pokemon might have been my first that I can recall off the top of my head.
There's this really great video about, like, the I don't know if this is a word, saphistry. The sapphic nature of magical girls. Like magical girl things like Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor
Revolutionary
Girl. Yeah, that one, Revolutionary Girl, Utena, Madoka Magica, like all of these. It's like this idea of like this pure girl love, like, but it's not sexualized. It's not for the male gaze. It's not. So it is like, and you know. Sailor Moon, yes, we didn't get this in the West, but we got the first, like, we get a depiction in a children's cartoon of a loving lesbian couple that wasn't sexualized for men. Nice. Like, the most we ever saw was them, you know, hold each other, be close, and look at each other gazingly, and that's why they were able to say, we're cousins in the States.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, totally spoiling for whenever you decide to watch Crystal. And yeah, was this queer baiting? Sure, but I loved every moment of it. Whatchamacallit, there's a... I didn't read the manga, so I can't... So y'all can, like, yell at me being like, oh, you read the manga and you know shit about Sailor Moon. Yeah. I'm blind. I don't like reading. I'm blind and ADHD. Don't got time for that. I also don't speak Japanese. Nihongo wakarimasen.
Yeah.
So, I'm not doing very well in my Japanese lessons, and I leave September. Hajimemashite.
Yeah.
I'm basically gonna get a document laminated saying I'm blind and just be like, sumimasen, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, you got you, yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
so
I imagine, like, I don't know why, I just had, like, like, when you were saying that, I was like, oh, yeah, you're basically, like, Toph. But
what?
It's like when Toph had, like, plays with the there's a compilation of like Toph reminding the group that she's blind.
Over there. We didn't talk about how like Toph is my spirit animal, and that's why my earthbender. I mean, I'm a firebender, but I'm also Toph. So
maybe like less of spirit animal and more like what's a better
Toph is the best representation
of a
blind media ever. I didn't like what they did to her in Korra, though. I mean, I like old Toph. Old Toph is cool, but like the fact that she became a cop.
Yeah, I felt like that would have been the opposite of. Oh no, her daughter was a cop, right?
No, but she was a cop because her mom was a cop. But Toph is such a like.
Oh.
I relate to Toph because it is the trope of like the person with the chip on her shoulder, but for her it really is just like nobody sees her for how strong she is. And that's why she has a chip on her shoulder. And so she, there's that whole episode where they do all those scams and everything, and like she really pushes the boundaries of what they can get away with until they like play with fire too much. And it's just like, this is someone who is so obstinate and anti-authoritarian. I am not Toph, I am Melon Lord. So like to like have them, it just doesn't make narrative sense that they become a cop.
It's like what they did with Harry Potter, is that all this anti-establishment, and then in the epilogue, he's an Auror, which is a wizard cop, and it's like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. Unless
I just blame.
It's like
blame J.K. Rowling
that
for that.
Yes, that you can easily blame her for that.
Nothing she did in hindsight, like, oh yeah, Dumbledore was always gay.
Okay.
But no transes.
Yeah, no transes. Like how, oh god, J.K. Turfling. That's a whole other conversation.
J.K. Turfling. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I wonder about what. I mean, I like the idea of like the world building of it, like her creating metal bending and like teaching it to like the police force, and I really love the whole arc about like her family and like Zaofu, and how like the other daughter, who I totally buy into. I love Avatar fan theories. They're the best. Because there's like, it's a good show or a good IP when there's enough openness for people to create their own like continuations of stories.
Yeah.
So like how Beifong has her sister Sulin, and they kind of don't look alike, and it's inferred that they have different fathers. And I'm like, that's Sokka's daughter. She was always like sweet on Sokka.
Yeah. They're besties, and then
they also done Sokka dirty. Like they never said like who he ever ended up like marrying or having a family with. He just like, we see him in a flashback, and he's just older.
It was like, wasn't he with Suki?
Yeah, but you know what? So we also don't know who Fire Lord Izumi's mother is either. I think, based on Dark Horse comics, since Mei and Zuko break up, and it's not continuing, and then there's kind of Suki becomes like one of Zuko's like bodyguards, and they develop a confidantship. I think there's an argument to be made that Fire Lord, I think her name is, Fire Lord Izumi? I don't know.
I haven't gotten that far.
Yumi, like my friend. The Fire Lord, who is then General Iroh, who is then voiced by, what's his fucking name? Dante Bosco. Rufio.
I know Zuko is Dante Bosco.
Yeah. So then, they bring him. So, but the Fire Lord is his mother, and I think that could. There's an argument to be made that is Suki and Zuko's daughter.
Maybe.
Yeah, but she's also a ginger.
Interesting.
Maybe if you're from the Fire Nation, like you have the fire crotch recessive gene. I don't.
Maybe.
So they also say that. Oh yeah, this was like a real high thought I had sometime during the pandemic about when I was like rewatching Avatar and Korra. I was like, remember Punnett squares in school?
Remind
like
me
when you find about recessive genes. So like recessive genes, like brown eyes and short hair, curly hair. Like imagine if that worked in the Avatar universe with bending. If you have, especially when you start combining different bending, like is certain types of bend, like we know that air is definitely recessive because like otherwise, you know, people wouldn't have. I think. Uncle
Oh, speaking of, what a cutie! Look at those little socks.
It's a baby.
Oh, he does look like a potentially grown-up version of Penelope. Oh my god.
He's the man. Hello.
Oh, what a little man. He's sleeping.
That's we call him the kitty man.
Oh, he is a little man.
You have to find yourself, to know yourself. Only then can your true self reveal it.
I love Iroh. I was literally thinking about the Tales of Ba Sing Se episode the other day, and I'm like, that his part makes me... Yes, it's like, oh my god, if you want to... It's like, I remember watching that, and yeah, it's like, rewatching it, it's like, you just want to cry. Because it's so sad.
Like to stay.
Yeah.
I'm just a baby.
Yeah, he's a baby.
He's not like a cuddler, but he's a cat made for a hyperactive dog person like me, because like he will tolerate me smushing and going all like, I love puppies, I love kitties, squeeze them into little bitties.
Yeah. Like the
he wants to go
squish that cat.
Squish that cat. We gotta do squish that cat.
Yeah.
I just have like, now I have pussy hair all over my face.
There you go.
Yeah, pussy hair in my nose. What were we just talking about on the Avatar bus?
We were talking about how bending, like airbending, was a recessive gene.
Yeah, and in my like theory, if bending worked the way Punnett squares work in actual like real genetics, like bending would be a recessive gene, and like maybe earth bending would be more dominant. Water bending might be recessive too. Fire might be dominant.
And then what if you have parents from two different bending styles? Like, how do you know which one they're going to be?
So I think you figure out which is stronger. Like if someone... I might be too... this requires math. Yeah, like you would have to have like the big E, little f or whatever, like, so which one? Oh, okay, perfect example. So you have, so, I'm trying to think of like a mixed bending couple in like Korra, where you have like two different benders in a relationship, and if they were to pass on their genes. Oh, okay, wait, no, perfect thing. So, like, Aang and Katara.
Like, Aang is the Avatar, so he does all of them.
Yeah, so he's an Avatar, but he's an airbender. So he has airbending, he has probably, like, capital AA, basically. While Katara is a waterbender. But I think, like, there's probably also being a non-bender is obviously a dominant gene, because they're more non-benders. So she would probably have something like, or maybe like they would both have to have at least one non-bending gene, because they have one non-bending child. Although then Boomy becomes an airbender later, so that's Boomy Jr. But they end up having 3 children, so they end up having Tenzin, who is an airbender, and I think has airbender dominant, because then he ends up having 4 airbender children with a non-bender.
Mm-hmm.
So airbending, but maybe his wife had to have an airbending recessive gene in order to have every child be a bender.
Maybe.
Maybe. Now we're getting into the real niche, like, info dump nerd. Yeah. We got there. But then, like, they also had a waterbender child. They had Kaya. So, because Katara's a waterbender. So, waterbending must be dominant. Or maybe not. My cat is throwing up now.
Oh, no.
Iroh is coughing up a hairball.
Oh.
He has. Oh, it's so sad. We found out Uncle Iroh the cat, not the legend, but although he's a legend too. He has like this rare genetic cat thing where they absorb their own teeth, so his teeth started falling out.
Aww.
And basically like he's gonna have no teeth.
I think I know someone whose cats had a similar, I don't know, they had a genetic condition that had to do with their teeth, and they had to get most of them removed. They have two cats, brother and sister. One of them now is, I think, because one of the people said, like, she was like, can we keep the fangs? And they tried to keep like the little like canines that they have, like the fangs. So one of them has all 4 of her fangs, and then one of them has 3 of the fangs, like the 2 top and 1 of the bottom one. So they are mostly toothless, but they have. Yeah,
I think that's gonna be. So I think they're gonna call. I don't know. Like, I know some people will spend thousands of dollars on their pets, but I can't even pay for my own health insurance.
Yeah.
So at least he's like in pain. Like, I want to make sure he's getting the nutrition he needs. We're like trying to change him to softer foods.
Yeah.
But like, and like maybe a water fountain and things like that. But I feel like spend like $5,000 to pull my cat's teeth when he's gonna already lose his fucking teeth.
Yeah, kind of like let nature take its course.
Yeah.
If it's like safe to do so.
I didn't realize that he was missing a few teeth on the bottom and the 2 in the middle, but he still has fangs. But that's so he'll have a.
Aww.
Yeah, he's a blip boy.
Aww.
Little boy.
Yeah, Penelope hasn't, as to my knowledge, hasn't started losing her baby teeth yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if she's teething or anything like that.
Well, we got him he was already 1 year old because he was abandoned. He had like a clipped ear, so he was probably a neuter and release, and they probably realized this cat is too sweet for the streets. And we were there to like meet another cat, and we're like, what's this? And of course his name, like the adoption name, Zero was like, Mr. Orange. And I'm like, I'm not calling him Mr. Orange.
Penelope's original name that was given as a placeholder was Ash. And I told my partner about that, and he was like, we're not keeping that name. And I was like, it's a placeholder. We can come up with one.
Yeah, that's a real weird name for an orange cat.
I know, but she was also a lot lighter. Like, she was not as orange as she is now. She was like barely orange.
My mom's dog, who was like a little chocolate brown puppy, and now she's like blonde.
Yeah, I mean sometimes, but her stripes are coming in. Her orange is coming in. So, as far as like, you said Sailor Moon might have been your first hyperfixation?
Yes.
What is what would you say is your most recent hyperfixation? If you have something like that.
Oh, I don't want to tell you.
Oh, okay. Then we don't have to talk about it.
I think I can hold many things in my head at once. I have been kind of diving back into musical theater a lot, but I think, Hell of a Boss is one of them, and I'm really excited that they're continuing this series. Like, there's only 8 episodes of this, and I've watched it over and over again. It's so good. And you know it's a hyperfixation when you start developing crushes on fictional characters. Soulless, Daddy Hoot Hoot, I follow that account. Oh my god. A pansexual owl demon. That's it. It does. Who's a power bottom? That does it for me.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so definitely I'm really excited about that series. I never left Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon was my first love. Yeah. And as I was like explaining to my friend, when they're like, "Oh, which like sailor soldier do you identify most with? Like, is your favorite?" And I'm like, "That's a hard question, because I think it's changed and rotated. I've always identified with Usagi because, like, well, first of all, now we know she, and I didn't get to say that they really played this up in Sailor Moon Crystal. Like, they have her and Uranus share a kiss." Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, and it was just like, goals. But she's a bi icon. We know that now. Mm-hmm. And this idea of someone who is painted out to be an underdog, someone who is fairly incompetent, and I just like the idea of unlikely heroes.
Yeah.
And that, like, her power is just to see the best in everyone.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
it's just this thing.
The unexpected.
Yeah, and I think I just always related to that, and someone who wasn't, like, she wasn't graceful. Like, when she was Sailor Moon, she was like, but like who she is when she's just Usagi or Serena in the Deke dub, she's someone who is just like, especially when you consider the Japanese culture, she's not an archetype for people in the culture. It's like, she's clumsy, she's not good at school, she, you know, like, sweet, she's like all these like silly things and like very just juvenile, but because she brings people together, and because she sees this inherent good in everyone, even when like everyone else can be like, oh, it's like Avatar too. It's like, you have to kill the Fire Lord, you have to do this, you have to do, and it's like, no, that's not. There's another way. There's always another way.
It's like, but I don't.
There's there's like, I really am not into like the whole like Jesus analogies, but all of them are like that. This idea of redemption for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's also redemption for herself, because we see her so many times like psychologically break down, where literally, in spoilers, they don't do this in the US dub, but basically all of her friends die. All of her soldiers, all the people she like, die in fighting in this, and with her like last breath, when she defeats like the first arc or whatever, she just wishes her powers, like, brings everyone back to life or whatever. She just wants everyone. It's not for herself, it's for
like her friends.
Like, she just has this great capacity to love.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, it's just, I like, and I don't know, just something, everything about it was just intoxicating. I remember like sitting there as a kid, just like eyes glued to the screen, and I remember like Hot Topic used to sell shit like anime things and whatever. I'd be the 6-year-old girl who, they called me the Sailor Moon girl.
Yeah.
Because I came in there and I was like the 5-year-old and 6-year-old who came into Hot Topic in like in the late 90s
to get Sailor Moon stuff.
Yeah, so because I had to have like everything, and I like being like the obstinate hyper. If it was like off-brand or whatever, I'm like, no, this is not right. Yeah. This is not the right logo. You see, this is not right. This is like when they made the Bandai toys, when they made like the moon. I'm like, this is not a thing in the show. This is not authentic. I'd get like very, what's the word? When you kind of have like a, temper tantrum.
Like a meltdown?
I would have meltdowns if my Sailor Moon stuff was not, like, I get real, aspy about that.
Like, you're very particular about it.
Yes, I would be like, no, it needs to be right. But now now that like we live in the age of internet and like independent creators, I love like the different types of, because I think all the independent creators, they like strive to put their stamp on it, but like strive for the authenticity of like, this is this would be in real life. Like I have a moon locket that is, hold on a second. Be right back.
Yeah.
My partner has gotten me like some of the best Sailor Moon merch that I've ever seen, like my favorite shirts. So like, you see
that's
this,
really cute.
this cup. Yeah.
And it's a locket. It's an actual locket.
Yeah, it actually looks like the locket. And then like, I've gotten different incarnations and they're kind of really beat up. The metal one, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Woo!
It's okay.
The metal ones, like these are all like Etsy, like makeup brushes. Mm-hmm. And I love it. It's like the Moon Prism. So it's Moon Prism Power makeup in the original, but we only got Moon Prism Power, Moon Crystal Power. But it's always, you know, something power makeup. And the fact that like their makeup brush, I love it.
And I love really cute.
I love when I like to go places where like if I go do a show or I like go to set and I bring my makeup and like when someone recognizes my Sailor Moon things, it's like it makes me so happy.
Yeah.
But this one's plastic. But like I like the little details. Like this one has like the crystal on it. This one has
looks pretty good.
You can see how tarnished this one is. A couple of years old, but it's still my favorite because it's like they have other ones that are different wands, but this is like the Moon Scepter wand was like the one that was the most iconic.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, little shit like that still gives me joy. Although like I think I'm kind of for my birthday I was like no more Sailor Moon t-shirts. I have too many.
It's like no.
No, the only like thing I was, and I think there's a big wait list. I did want I wanted a Stolitz, which is the couple of Blitzo and Stolitz Hell of a Boss sweatshirt, because like I ship that so hard. Mm-hmm. So, but identifying with Sailor Moon characters, like always identified with Usagi, but and then like I had a friend who was going to do a live action Sailor Moon like fan film, and I was going to play Mercury, but then like there was some fallout. But I got to like do some Mercury cosplay, and I liked it because it was like I used to feel like, oh well, I don't have like long legs or whatever, but Mercury was always the smallest one, and she's smart or whatever. Oh, and also like just super sweet too.
Yeah.
But so like I identified with her, but really, I mean, I think if I had to say who is like, I don't know, if are you into like Zodiac?
A little, like I know about it, but I don't.
So you know, like sun sign.
I know the difference between like sun sign. I know the names of it.
Sign.
I'm not 100% sure about how it is supposed to affect you as a person, but I do know that natal charts are a thing and shit like that.
The basic is like your sun sign is like who you are at a glance, you know, what the basic thing. Like, so when you're a Taurus, you said?
Yeah, I'm a Taurus.
You're a Taurus. So like that is like the general, like overall, this is who you are. This is what the identifying traits you have.
Like in a nutshell.
Yeah, and then your rising sign is kind of like the impression the world first gets from you. Like in a very superficial way. Okay. And then your moon sign is like your emotions, like who you are, like at your core, your emotional life. Uh-huh. So in this analogy, and I hope there's someone who like gets this and like, I don't know, do this with anything, do Steven Universe characters or whatever. Yeah. By the way, go look up the Steven Universe Kinsey scale for any of us, like Do you know about the Steven Universe Kinsey scale?
I don't know about the Steven Universe Kinsey scale, but I'm aware of what the Kinsey scale is.
Okay. I love things like that. Like, I guess I just really I think I know what my hyperfixation is right now.
Okay.
The cross-section of fiction and queerness.
Yes.
I've been really, really, really enjoying watching a lot of videos, like YouTubers talking about, you know, like learning about like things like the Hays Code and how like things are queer coded, learning about stuff in anime and animation like that like things that are inspired by queer properties. So like when shows are inspired by Sailor Moon and Card Captors, like that shit's gay. That shit's gay.
It's gay.
When something is inspired by like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, that shit's gay. So like, and I was raised by my mother raised us on, I like to say, Rocky Horror and the musical Gypsy. So there you go.
Yeah.
That explains everything. So yeah, I think I really enjoy watching content, even like YouTubers. I'm so bad at like remembering names. But there's this like non-binary trans YouTuber who's also bisexual and talks a lot about the intersectionality of that, and like, you know, I think the bis and the pans should be friends. I think
they really should. Like, we really should.
We should.
And it's like, they're not all that different anyway. They're basically the same in some respect. So
as a pan, you identify as a pan, correct?
Pan romantic, yeah.
Yes. I'm just talking about that one part. I understand the intersect, but I was like, I am a bi. You is a pan. Why, for you, why pan and not bi?
I mean, I guess from when I was looking up the difference between bi and pan, because, you know, the misconception is like, you think bi is the prefix for two.
Yeah.
Like, bisexual feels like you're attracted to, you know, at least two genders, or sexual, like, whatever.
It doesn't mean that you're only attracted to.
Yeah, because pan felt more like more inclusive, and that's why I ended up going for that one. But like, I don't see why. I did identify as bisexual when I was a teenager, and then when I learned more about like other identities and stuff like that, at the time, pan made more sense to me.
Well,
but
yeah, well, it's for me, what I think the difference and what I heard is that, and tell me if you agree with this in your experience. A lot of people who identify as pansexual don't see gender in their attraction.
Like, it's not a factor. Yeah, it typically isn't, in my personal experience. Although, that being said, like, I have my preferences. And which anybody would. It's also funny that I'm technically in a heterosexual relationship.
Okay, let's disclaim this right now. You and I, even though I don't know, your partner identifies as a cis male, straight male.
I guess, but he also doesn't get. He's like, all that stuff. He's like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, that sounds like Dan too. So. It's not just because it is a male-female relationship or like opposite sex relationship that does not make it a cis heterosexual relationship.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a relationship with a queer person, you're in a queer relationship.
Yep.
It's not a lesbian relationship. It's not a homosexual relationship. It's not. It's weird that we don't have a term for anything else, isn't it?
I mean,
isn't it?
The way I look at, yeah, with labels, it just helps make things make a little bit of sense.
Yeah,
like the whole thing anyway. But yeah, like, we're two pan romantic beings. Like, he doesn't. I don't know. He definitely leans towards women, or like femme presenting. But he also, it doesn't matter. But we do both crush over girls sometimes. It's really funny.
Isn't that fun? I like doing that
it's so
too.
Fun.
I think but yeah, I think for me and why I've kept to my bi flag has nothing to do with only being attracted binary. On actually, if I have to say, like, what I'm really attracted to, like, androgynous people, whether they're male or female, or whether they're trans. Like, I'm really, really attracted to that. whether that be emotionally or physically. So it's not so much like I see something on like binary, but I do feel like I do see gender.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and as someone who has a menstrual cycle, I find I, just like you crave different types of food through the month, I crave different things in like my sexual preference and in my even like my romance, even like in like what I want to fantasize about or whatever.
And the beautiful thing about this sort of stuff is that it can be fluid.
Exactly. So I'd say it is very fluid for me, and I think it can be fluid even if you identify as bisexual.
Yeah, and that's fine.
It's just I'm acknowledging the gender. I'm being like, yeah, I'm attracted to men and women and trans women and trans men and non-binary people and demi-girls and demi-boys and men in dresses and women in suits.
Yeah.
And men in dresses. Oh, did I say that twice? What?
It's just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly. I am very Liza Minnelli.
Yeah. I told you got the vibe. It's the hair.
Yeah. So we're like, so yeah, that's for me. Just yeah, we got into all that.
Yeah.
All the politics of that. But I think the buys and the pans. We need to
calm the fuck
down. We need to make a bi-pan alliance and make sure that we're not erased into the shadow of heteronormity. And I like the idea that all bi women are promiscuous, or all bi presenting, femme presenting bi people are promiscuous, and all masculine presenting bi people are just, you know, you're just gay, man. You're just gay.
It's like,
and like, well, first of all, who the fuck cares? But like,
why does it matter to you?
Why?
Why does it matter so much to you who we're attracted to and whatever? It's like, okay, you're attracted to this, I'm attracted to that. Who the fuck cares? Yeah. It's like if you're it's like if you're asking if you're more of a tits or an ass person.
Are you asking? Sorry.
No, I was. It's like when you ask someone, you know, some people are a tits person, some people are an ass person, some people are a legs person. Like, who the fuck cares?
Other people, but I'd like to downplay my own. Is that weird?
Would say that again?
I like looking at other people's tits. Like nothing. No, like deep cuts here. Nothing more I enjoy than a pair of anime titties. Like those fake ass fucking. But like, and on my own thing, like 9 out of 10 times, or I'll say like 4 out of 5 times, I'm gonna wear something that kind of downplays my own my own chest.
I mean, I don't think that's weird.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole like gender fender thing.
I mean,
which which brings me back to Sailor Moon.
There you go. It all comes full circle.
So we not only in the original Sailor Moon we have the first like romantic like soft romantic lesbian couple shown in like a loving like not kill your gays. Oh, they did kill your gays in the spoiler. Okay. But anyway, we have Uranus and Neptune. But in what they did in Crystal, and someone can say if it's true in the manga, they say that Sailor Uranus is not male or female, because when Haruka, like everyone, that's the whole thing. When they first meet her, they always think they're like, oh, he's this really dreamy boy, blah blah blah, this is a race car driver or whatever, and Haruka is just so, oh my god, like, oh. So going back to this Sailor astrology thing, I created the Avatar Punnin scale and the Sailor astrology. So like Usagi, Sailor Moon would be my she would be my sun. Even though I'm technically in real astrology, I'm a Cancer Leo cusper. So I'm born under, the moon, but I'm also born under the sun. But yeah, in relation to thing, my rising sign, like the sign that people would perceive me of, like, oh, which sailor senshi you're most, would be Mercury, because I got nerd face, and not smart, and short, and like, I don't know, I like water. I really love water. I really, like, you put me in the ocean, I'm like, it's my element.
I feel like I gotta introduce you to mermaid pods.
Mermaid pods?
Yeah, I know people. Well, first of all, like, meeting people who are professional mermaids, and then secondly, there's like meetups sometimes that people have in their circle, like their pod, so to speak.
It's like that. I feel like that's an intersection of a lot of my interests.
Yeah, I have to. I'll give you
a little bit of drag. There's a little bit of well, I don't know, weeaboo, LARPy shit. I don't know.
Anyway, but Mercury was your moon.
No, Mercury would be my rising.
Oh, right.
So like in real life, my rising sign is Libra. So people think I like people, and they think I'm kind of like a social butterfly, like someone who's very like whatever. But that's just kind of like the impression they get. So because it's air sign, and I'm born in Libra. But like in this analogy, my rising sailor senshi, who people would perceive me as, is Mercury. Also short hair too.
Yeah.
But my haircut used to be more like her. But when I got my haircut this time, I said I wanted to look somewhere. I showed pictures of young Liza, and I also showed pictures of. Have you ever seen Oran High School Host Club?
Yes.
Of what's her face, the main character there.
Yeah.
But I also showed pictures of Sailor Uranus, of Haruka. And Haruka is my moon sign, because inside I'm, I want to be like this tall, charming, debonair, like studly femme kind of thing. Like that is like me coming into my full like gender and sexual expression, like emotional and sexual expression.
Yeah.
So, and it makes sense also in real life because I'm an Aries moon.
Okay.
And even though Aries is Mars, there is kind of a Uranus in general has like, it's a storm planet. It's like she all of her powers are like the world shaking, space sword, like all this very masculine thing. And then her partner, Sailor Neptune, she's also a water planet, so it's the feminine. She's the lipstick lesbian of the two. So, but yeah, so like now when people say like who do you identify, it's like, yeah, I'm this, I'm that, but like inside I'm a 6 foot tall dyke. Who's got a huge space sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just, and that confidence, like that is like who, like that emotional core. So, yeah, Sailor Moon. You okay, I'm gonna say, I mean, how much tolerance do you have for bad 90s dubs? Oh, wait.
I grew up in the 90s.
You should watch if you really... I mean, I feel like you need to appreciate the Deke dub, but Viz Media also did redub them, and they did a really good job.
Okay.
I would say I watched the original series, or watch it subbed if that's what you like. I have struggled with subtitles because of my vision, but I remember, so Sailor Stars, the 5th season was actually never released in the United States until it was never dubbed. And part of it is because of, I don't know, but homophobia definitely had to do about it, because they had these characters called the Starlights who were basically,
basically it was too gay.
No, well, they were, and so you tell me what you think, if they are trans or if they are transvestite. So the Starlights in their Sailor Soldier form are women, I think. Yeah, or like they're feminine presenting.
Yeah.
But when they come to Earth to look for their princess, their messiah, they present as a Japanese boy band.
Okay.
And so like they present as male, and Usagi almost gets into a relationship with one of them, but like the names are the same, and the only thing that happens in the transformation is that like their bodies become more feminine, and they're dressing like, you know, queens.
I feel like that's more when they're on Earth. It's like they're in drag.
That's what I feel like. I feel like they're drag kings.
Drag kings are, yeah, I feel like that sounds more like drag kings.
It is, but it's because they don't really say, and I mean they haven't made season the last arc, the Sailor Stars arc in Crystal. So I'm interested to see how they would deal with that, because I know they made the whole change of Sailor Uranus is not just a lesbian. Sailor Uranus is gender fluid. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if they are maybe they're going to be non-binary, maybe they are going to be trans, maybe they're going to be transsexual, or I don't know. Like, I'm interested to see where they do that. But it's like this show from Japan, which like Japan, like people talk about like kinky sex shit with Japan. Japan is a very conservative culture.
I know.
But there's so what?
It's just like what?
Yeah, it's just like in a children's anime and a manga meant for little girls.
Yeah.
There's like this forward thinking, and like the creator, she's just like, I think she just wanted all children or girls or whatever who were reading this to just like see themselves in all these different Sailor Senshi, and like realize that all types of love are beautiful, and there's love, friendship, there's romantic love. Yeah. And it's just such a pure thing in such a fucked up world, and that is why I love Sailor Moon, and I think this is a good place to end this.
Yeah, I think so. But before we do that,
do you have a question?
Yes. Is there anything that you would like to promote? Be it something that you're working on, be it something that someone you know is working on, or just whatever you want. The floor is yours. Promote away.
I feel like I'm on Hot Ones. I just ate a bunch of spicy hot wings. I am. Go watch C. If you haven't started that, I'm on a series on Audible. Actually, another project coming on Audible, but the first thing is called Freaks. It's about the phone freaks from the 1970s. I play the lead character. Carrie Coon is my mom. Christian Slater is my dad. Also, there's another book that's going to be coming out that I narrated called Unbroken, and I narrate the story Brit and the Bike God. And I'm going to Japan, and I'm going to do some theater there, and it's going to be fun. And I just got cast in another radio series called The Ferals. I play a lot of 17-year-old blind girls with a chip on their shoulder. I'm also on a couple MasterCard ads you might have heard on like Pandora Radio and New York Radio, and
a commercial.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I did like this 2-minute ad for the voiceover ad that was playing on iHeart New York Radio. And if you want to listen to some of my older music, I had a project called Bree I. Whatevers. There's an album on iTunes and Amazon and all the thing called Homewrecker, and there's a music video for that as well. So if you like that kind of neo soul, retro pop kind of vibe, you might really dig that. And follow me. Yeah, I have a couple new projects that are gonna be coming out. A lot of them are voiceover related, but I'm definitely gonna be documenting a lot of my time in Japan with the theater company. And follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. On
stop cutting off, please.
Bree, BRE _ official.
Bree _ official.
No, Bree _ Klauser. KLAUSER _ official.
Gotcha.
And if you want to follow me on TikTok too, it's Bree face cat pants. Oh yeah, I have 2 short films that were in an Easter Seals challenge. One of them is called Social Distance. The other one is called Pandora. I play a supervillain, who is like a half snake, half cat person, and that's like touring. That's gonna be playing at a bunch of film festivals, probably the Chinese Theater in Hollywood.
Nice.
And there's a film coming out eventually. It's called A More Perfect Union. I don't know when it's gonna be released, but it's like very like serious about like COVID and stuff, and I play like this reporter. I'm there for, but I really liked. It was fun recording and collaborating with people like remotely during the pandemic. And this filmmaker like really wanted to include people with disabilities, people of like untraditional gender, beauty standards and stuff. So I forget because like you just do the work and you're like, oh wait, this thing came out. Oh yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's like not everything is a big red carpet thing, but like when it comes out and people like it, it's like, oh, that's great.
Yay.
Cool. So y'all let me know. What do you think of it?
Yay. Yeah, do follow all of those things.
And BreeKlauser.com if you want to just see like work and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like your website, and stuff like that. But yeah, So what we're gonna do, chat. First of all, thank you, Bree, for being a part of this. That was really fun.
Thank you. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So hard. I need to make some tea.
Yeah, and we're gonna go raid Treasure Trove, who because you talking about Sailor Moon stuff made me think of Morgan, who some people know as Gerbeagly's girlfriend, and she's doing some tarot readings right now. So if you also want to check her out, and everybody stick around for the raid, we're gonna go raid Morgan and show her some love. She's very sweet, and she's very
Can you go? Do you do tarot readings?
I do not, but I know people do.
Yeah. I know, I was wondering if you do, because I'm fascinated by a very complicated history of tarot readings. I've never gotten a good tarot reading.
Well, I know of I maybe know one person personally who does them, and then Morgan I follow because I like supporting good people, and even though tarot is not particularly my cup of tea, I like supporting her because she's really nice and like deserves all the love. So yeah,
how does this work? Because I'm a Discord version novice.
I will send you the link to it, but for everyone else in the chat, we'll go raid right now. And then we'll go from there. Stick around. Thank you very much for watching, whether it's live or in the VOD. And let's go send some love to Morgan, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
Thank you, Lara. Bye!